Thank you. I'm at a bit of a disadvantage. Before the festivities started today, Cohen came to me and he said, listen, Moody, I need your help. You and Curly are two Vermonters in the crowd that get to speak tonight. We've asked you to keep things from 3 to 5 minutes. We all know Curly's going at least triple that. So for every minute he goes over, we need you to cut 30 seconds from your presentation. The bad news is I'm going to have to leave some things out that I wanted to talk about. The good news is that Dave Dion, now by my watch, has been in the Hall of Fame for approximately 27 minutes already, thanks to Tom. If I did have the time, I would mention how much I enjoyed as a youngster, a veritable babe in arms, watching Johnny Rosati wheel the frantic Ford around the nation's site of excitement, Thunder Road. I would remark upon the many good times that we've had with Jean-Paul Cabana, and I will point out that his English is perfectly fine and improves dramatically with every Molson export he consumes. And I even now, with the passage of time, look back fondly on the day that Bob Johnson threatened to sue me for everything I had one day at Seekonk for something that I'd written the week before. I cherish those memories. You know, every winning driver gives credit to his team. But our next honoree takes that practice to the extreme. His credentials as a driver are certainly above reproach. He won the 1972 Norwood Arena Late Model Championship, the final year of that legendary track. He's a two-time champion at Vermont's Thunder Road, former NASCAR Busch North Series champion, three-time Oxford 250 champion, former NASCAR North Tour champion. He's won the Vermont Milk Bowl, and he's won more late model races around the Northeast and even in the South than any of us care to count. Virtually every single one of them, except for a very brief, extremely unfortunate period in the early 1990s at the wheel of a Ford. He even spent one season on the NASCAR Grand National circuit, joining with his brothers to throw a scare or two into the best drivers and teams NASCAR had to offer, despite the fact that they were racing for pennies on the dollar. And yet, despite that impressive driving resume, he insists that he is only average as a race car driver and barely marginal as an engine builder. The real credit, he says, goes to others, most notably, in his words, my brothers. Paul, known around the Northeast as the best chassis man money can't buy. Donald, the analytical engineer who made thinking outside the box a way of life. And Roger, oh yes, Roger, the hot-tempered workaholic who drove everybody within a mile to give nothing less than their best every single time out. A couple of years ago, as a couple of people have been very kind to mention, I finally convinced him to sit down and tell me his story from start to finish so that I might try and put it into book form. He did so on one condition and one condition only, that the book not be used to glorify him. Instead, he wanted it to serve as a means of thanking his brothers and all the others who helped him out over the years. And when we first got word that he was being inducted into this Hall of Fame, the first words he said to me when I called to confirm that he actually, for some reason, wanted me to induct him was, please, don't make this about me. Make this about my brothers. I wasn't quite sure how to induct someone into a Hall of Fame without mentioning them. So I'm going to have to strike a bit of a compromise here. But when we wrote that book, in the 242 pages that we ended up with together, I leafed back through it the other night, and it occurred to me that there were very few I's and a whole bunch of we's. I remember remarking to him at the time that to listen to him talk and to tell those old stories, there must have been 8 or 10 people behind the wheel of that bright orange Ford, because it was never I, it was always we. And I guess the beauty of it all is that in his mind there were indeed 8 or 10 people behind the wheel of that race car. So, trying to make up as much time as possible. It's my great pleasure to present for induction into the 10th anniversary class of the Near Hall of Fame, 1/4 of the fabulous Dion brothers racing team. And not a bad driver no matter what he might say. the driver of the, and I've tried to make a comprehensive list, the driver of the John's Trucking, Stewart & Son, Tate Brothers, Berlin City, Continental Paving, Ford, Fairlane, Torino, Fairmont, Thunderbird, Taurus, and Fusion, Dynamite Dave Dion.
Well, I'm not going to forget my lady this time. She's been behind me for 30-something years, gave me a beautiful daughter. I've won championships and forgot her. I won races and forgot her. And I was so consumed with racing and what we were doing that the person waiting for me at home never even got mentioned. And she allowed me to pursue my dreams, be myself, and still love me in spite of it. To my fiance, Dawn Francis. I was concerned about, I wrote just a couple of things down, but since we sat down to eat, I noticed a few things, and I saw my brother Paul talking to Eddie West, and I'm a little concerned about that, because Eddie West said if he had my brother Paul for doing his chassis work, he'd still be racing today. That's how much he thought of him. And that's how much of an effect my brother Paul's had on people's careers, including Joey Carafas and other people. He's a very humble person. You'll very seldom see him in a photo of Victory Lane, unless you drag him up on top of the roof like I did in the Oxford 250 win in '92. But there's no eyes on our team. I've been thinking all week about the Patriots losing and not going to the Super Bowl, and I'm a bigger Patriots fan than I am race fan, I think, at times. And I hear everybody analyzing what happened, what we need to do to get back there, and they were saying, did they overachieve or did they underachieve? And they said as individuals, they're really not that special. Maybe Brady and a few of the others, but as a team, I kind of relate the Dion brothers, the brothers and the friends and all the family and people that helped me and the sponsors over the years. As a team, we're a pretty dynamic group, and because we believe in each other, we may have our differences now and then, but I fully believe in them. It's the reason I continue to race. I just enjoy being with them so much. I told Bentley I was going to mention him. Bentley's only a couple years older than me, but my brothers and I used to go to the Pine Speedway, watch Bentley run, and he was dynamic then, driving the 707, 51 Ford, I think it was, four-door. And he used to drive from the back of the field to the front, and it was spectacular. John Rosati's still as quiet as he ever was. John Paul's still the class act he always was. Just some of the observations I've made just watching the presenters and everything. I got the call coming home from a Beach Ridge race that had rained out, and I don't remember who I spoke to on the phone, but they mentioned that we had been inducted into the Hall of Fame. And it's like a sportsmanship award. Sometimes when you can't accomplish anything, they give you the sportsmanship award. And over the years, I used to laugh about it. And they said, you don't take it for what it is. People think well of you. And I said, no, I just haven't done anything else, and they're going to have to give me something. So the Hall of Fame thing, we joked about it at first. Was, well, you're old enough, you can go in the Hall of Fame, But when you hear how they break it down and the people in this room, my God. When I got the call and they told me Bentley Warren was going in, I just went crazy. And Bob Potter, I had heard about it. I had heard wonderful things. And John Paul Cabana and John Rosati, and I went. And all of a sudden it was, I'm going in with them. It just seemed, I'm in awe of them. I mean, I look up to these people. I look up to the ones that have gone before me, the Bugsy Stevens, the Leo Clearys. I mean, these people that are in this room. And it's like Bob Johnson said. To hear Bob Johnson say it, everything Bob Johnson said, I totally agree with. You're in awe. It's a fantastic, fantastic honor, and I appreciate it greatly. I've got a future son-in-law that's a wonderful person, and he's under the impression that you shouldn't ask people for help, that you got to make it on your own. You'll never be proud of yourself if you don't make it on your own. And he has very low self-esteem because he's not at the point in his life that he feels he should be with my daughter and my grandson. And I told him. And my daughter looks up to me. And when Don and I can help them, we do, whether it's financially or whatever. And he doesn't like that. He doesn't like us stepping in, doing what he feels as though he should do. And I said, I have nothing in my life that wasn't someone didn't help me earn, whether it was on the racetrack, whether it was personal, whether it was my brothers and I growing up, that you don't have to be ashamed to ask people. When you got brothers, they just automatically know you're in trouble and they help you, and your best friend or whatever. And this sport, and the part Dave touched on, was it's not about me. None of my brothers will want to get up here and accept the award personally, but I'm sure they're honored to accept it as the Dion brothers. And all our friends, and my friend Danny Dadgis, who owns Berlin City Ford, who's very generous, both on and off the track to me personally, helping me with things I need. When I say I have no way to repay you, he said, but you're appreciative. You've always appreciated whatever I've done for you, on the track, off the track, for your family, take you out to a nice meal. And he said, that's all I ever want, is you appreciate it. And I think all those people here that came with me, and all the ones that couldn't make it, that bought my first tire, contributed in some way, gave you a ride to the track, lent you some money, whatever it was, helped you out, helped you load the car, missed work to go to the races. I think they know how much that I appreciated it and my brothers appreciated it. And they never asked for anything else. And when we had a couple good years and made a few extra dollars, and I said to my brother Roger, wow, we won the championship, we got extra money. How are we gonna divide it up? He said, we're not dividing it up. If they're not getting something out of this sport, if they don't love what they do and they don't have a passion for it, if they're doing it to get paid like these people nowadays, that's not the type of team we want. We put our whole life into this. And it's strange when young kids come around, want to join the team, want to know what we pay. It's like, God, you're lucky if we pay your way in. So things have changed, and people will ask me, are you all done this year? You're going to go on or whatever? It's probably the same answer Bentley will give you. We'll see how it is. You know, he's with great people, with Vic Miller and those guys, an R&R machine. So he's got such a comfortable thing. When they got a great car to put under him, Bentley's going to jump in and probably go after Oswego and win another one. I mean, I don't think age will ever stop Bentley. And when my mom was alive and all the brothers would go off racing and we'd feel guilty for being gone, they'd all run over to her house to visit, and never together, obviously, not after. And they would get there, and my mother got 4 or 5 versions of the race, whether it was good or bad. How'd you do? He's an idiot, he shouldn't be driving. You know, I mean, it was always, she got all these versions of why the brothers were fighting. And she would say to each one of us, at least to me, I don't know what she said, as I would leave, and I'd be moaning about, the car didn't handle, they called me in at the wrong time, and all the reasons why I didn't do well. And she would always say, when are you going to stop this foolishness? And you know, it's like, I don't know when. You know, I could say goodbye to auto racing today. And in my mind, because I'm an older person, the good times and the glory years are pretty well over because of the corporate involvement and the philosophy people have coming to the sport. And I have no problem walking away from this sport, but it's very painful to walk away from the Dion.